My name is Arabo Ewinyu. I work as a researcher on the Pre-Distribution and Ownership Project at the Southern Center for Inequality Studies. In my role, I do some of the research. I oversee some of the collaborations with external researchers, and I work very closely with Professor Imran Valodia. Very briefly, we would like to study the production system and the financial architecture in a way to understand how they could be better reorganized to produce equitable outcomes. And governments generally have tended to focus on ex-post redistribution systems where they almost allow for the production segment of the economy to continue as it were, and then tax them and redistribute this income to individuals or to increase how much is allocated to state expenditure on healthcare, social spending, and education. Since governments have been less inclined to directly intervene in the production systems, we would like our research to focus on specific policies that would allow governments to directly intervene in order to result in these outcomes that they'd like to see for an economy such as South Africa that is plagued with high inequality, high poverty, and high levels of unemployment. Our work has benefited from sponsorship from various partners: AFD, the French Development Agency, GIZ, the German Development Agency, TCFD, the Task Force on Inequality and Social-Related Financial Disclosures, and PDI, the Pre-Distribution Initiative. In the project's short existence, we've been able to undertake some research that has been collated into a special issue of the Development South Africa Journal. The title of the special issue is Exploring Production-Centered Redistribution to Address Inequality. This collection of papers presents our initial thinking or initial offering around matters around production-based inequalities and policy imperatives that governments could then take up as a result of understanding this. So it's an open access journal. We have 8 papers that are centered around 3 different themes. In the first, we're looking at conceptual matters around market power and pricing power that firms might have and the impact of this. The second set of papers are looking at the impact of competition enforcement on inequality. It's specifically to do with price, ownership, and the structure of the market. And then finally, we close off with a section that looks at the role of institutions in providing access to equitable and sustainable economic outcomes. Arising from this, and what we'd like to focus on in the second aspect, are themes around concentration and how this has impact on labor market outcomes, on wages, on employment rates. We'd also like to understand a little bit more closely the question of emissions and concentration and what that means for competition bodies that then have to enforce the Competition Act for firms that are based in South Africa. Because our work looks at the production center, and one of the policy tools that we've typically relied on as the Competition Act of South Africa of 1998. And so we'd like to engage a little bit more with the big businesses, with individuals who are sitting on boards and who would like to understand just how their role could change and how they could use their position to better their outcomes or to produce equitable outcomes for individuals. The first phase of the work is complete, but we are still in the process of developing a second phase of work, and we are refining our work and engaging with the feedback that we've so far received on the bits of work that we've done and the special issue that we've spoken about. I invite anyone who's interested in such matters to reach out. Whether you'd like to provide feedback, whether you'd like to work with us a little bit more closely, or to be a point of reference or to be interviewed in subsequent pieces of work, our details are on the website. Reach out.